Hey there, welcome to LSAT Demon Daily. I'm Nathan Fox. That's Ben Olson. We are the founders of LSATdemon.com and our weekly podcast, Thinking LSAT. We have an email here to the LSAT Demon team from Nem.
All right, Nem writes, I just wanted to thank you guys for the tutelage and to tell you I finally scored -0 on a reading comp section for the first time ever. I've been studying with the Demon a little over 6 months. I'm a 170 plus student and consistently score -1 on logical reasoning sections, but I'd often score from -1 to up to -4 on reading comprehension sections. Essentially, my reading comprehension was never as strong as or consistent as my logical reasoning. I think the difference maker was that I simply misinterpreted the key piece of LSAT wisdom, slow down. When you guys say slow down or read slower, you don't mean actually read the words or sentences slower. You mean to take the time to think so you can understand the passage. Slowing down doesn't necessarily come from slower reading, but from the time you take to think and understand the passage.
Yeah.
That could be a misinterpretation. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's true. It's not that I read each word or read each sentence super slow.
The difference maker.
No, the difference is that I stop and think about it.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I guess my reading is probably more like staccato than, it's not monotone. It's not just like da, 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 da.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not necessarily slow.
No, it could be fast, but at a period I'm stopping, or fast, but at a comma I'm stopping.
Yeah.
And it could be fast, but then when I see two ideas that are obviously related in some way, I will think about those two ideas in conjunction with one another. It's also slow in that when I encounter two ideas that don't seem connected, I'm going to stop and go, wait, what? You just said this and now you're saying that? Like, where are you going with that? Like, I'm asking them questions about why they're saying what they're saying. And all this is like looking down the road a ways,
Yeah.
I'm not just looking at the white line right in front of the car. I'm looking down the road to try to see where we might be headed next. Yeah, interesting.
Okay. So Nem continues, I realized this after watching Nathan read dozens of RC passages. The man reads lightning fast. If you were under my original framework, you'd curse at the hypocrisy. But hopefully then you'd also notice that 99% of the time after he'd read the sentence at an astronomical speed, he'd pause and think about what he just read. It's obvious what that does for understanding the passage.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's a story there.
Yeah.
It's not just a matter of reading the words. It's reading the sentences. And it's not just reading the sentences, it's reading the passage. Like, what does this document want?
Yeah. Yep. He continues, I tried this on an RC passage or section tonight and ended up getting 100% accuracy and 100% score and finished with almost 5 minutes left on the clock. Now, of course, there is a major caution. If and when you make it explicit, you should stress not to lose carefulness in your reading. Just because Nathan can read 100 words per minute without a misreading doesn't mean you can. If you read faster, naturally your chances of misreading increases. But if you are able to read carefully without reading at a snail's pace, I'd love to hear a reason for why one wouldn't. Now that I've achieved the coveted -0 from this seemingly simple yet profound understanding, I am confident that my RC section's fluctuations will be as tight as my logical reasonings. I'm excited for my next practice test and the next official LSAT. Thanks again, Nem.
Yeah, there's no reason why anybody would be like capping out the top of the scale on LR and then not able to also do that same thing on reading comp. Because LR is also a test of reading comp. So if you can ace LR, then you can read well enough that you can also ace reading comp. But if you think that like you're going to get there by racing through the passage, you're not. You have to get there by actually comprehending the passage.
Yeah.
And when we say slow down, what we mean is slow down enough that you actually understand it. And yeah, I guess that's a valid follow-up point here, that we don't necessarily mean that you read the words or sentences slowly, but you damn well better read the paragraphs slow enough that you actually understand the paragraph before you move on to the next one.
Yeah.
And that actually should happen sentence by sentence as well. So you can
That's
read the
where the
sentence really
thinking
fast,
happens. Yeah, yeah.
but you got to stop. Like anytime it's a new idea or a related idea, you got to stop and think like, okay, so does that build on what you've been saying, or is that something new? Where are you going with this? Where have you gone and where are you going? And you constantly revise that all the way through the passage.
So pearls versus turd. Pearls versus turds. Pearl versus turd. I would say this is a pearl. I would want to clarify this in class. I feel like I've been trying to teach this and say, hey,
Yeah.
we're stopping to think after every sentence or every paragraph or every, comma or even
Yeah.
clause, but maybe that didn't hit home. This is
No.
just another idea we need to really emphasize.
Yeah. I could easily see this infecting my classes that I teach tomorrow. I have 2 classes tomorrow that I teach for LSAT Demon Live students. And
Hmm.
I could definitely hear myself repeating that in class to say, okay, now, I'm going to tell you to slow down, but then you might experience it that I'm reading really fast. But what you should notice is that there's also going to be a lot of pauses in
Hmm.
between. It's going
Hmm.
to come in bursts. And then there's going to be breaks. And in those breaks, that's like me chewing my food. I might get the first forkful in my mouth pretty quickly,
Yeah.
but then I'm going to chew on it and swallow it before I just shovel more in. Thanks, Nem.
Thank you. Email daily at lsatdemon.com if you'd like to ask us a question or share some LSAT or Law School admissions news. Thanks for listening.